What if I told you that God and the devil made a wager for the souls of all mankind? No direct contact with humans, that would be the rule. Just influence. See who would win.
Demons stay in hell, angels in heaven.
They call it the balance.
I need to see what you see.
You do this, there's no turning back. You see them. They see you. Understand?
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron. Whoop. This week, we're going to do is this horror? I don't know what this is. Classic?
We don't know. What do we call epic? It's an epic, like the Ten Commandments or
Yes.
Jesus of Nazareth.
It's like Ben-Hur.
It's like Ben-Hur.
We're doing Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves, Rachel Weisz, Jaume Hunsu, what's her name? Tilda Swinton. It's an all-star cast.
I love Tilda Swinton. Our friend Tilda Swinton.
Our friend. Yes, we know her well. Good time.
You may remember her from the reimagining of Suspiria.
That's correct. Go ahead and give us your 30-second synopsis of Constantine.
So, apparently the devil always has a kid that always wants to be reborn in half of these movies.
Yep.
And just like the other ones, it doesn't always work out. I mean, The Omen got much farther than this. What do they call it? Maroon? Or is that
Mammon? Mammon.
Maroney, that's the LDS thing. Now I'm going to get sued.
Okay.
So anyway, in order for him to come, there has to be some divine thing, and somebody finds it in Mexico, and all these things have to come together. He has to, of course, be reborn into the human body. Meanwhile, Constantine's bebopping around town. He's already damned to hell because he committed suicide. So, I don't know, guess to just prolong his suffering here on Earth, he gets to go get the halflings that are
They're not called halflings.
What were they called?
Half breeds, I believe he calls them.
Whatever.
Halflings are like the Hobbit. Well, go ahead, continue.
They're sending Frodo to hell.
Yep.
And meanwhile, he hooks up with this chick who's a detective who apparently has a lot of flexibility in her job. And it ends up being his sister, although totally unexplained.
Her sister.
I thought, no, they were sisters, a brother and sister. That's why they never kiss.
No. Where did you get that?
They get? Because they said that you're my sister or something like that. They never kiss.
There's times throughout where they're about to, but they thought it was more of kind of a moonlighting thing where it's just like it's better if they don't in the end.
In the end of moonlighting, they get together.
Well, before the end, that was the beginning of the end on moonlighting. Oh. That's what killed it.
Anyway, we find out that one of the angels is putting her thumb on the scale. And so that's why the son of the devil is able to come back. But Keanu shuts the biz down. It is a hero. All is right with the earth. The end.
Very good. Very succinct. Easy to follow.
Completely incoherent. But it is solid. Although I started to lose interest every time my son would wander through and goes, this was a comic book. There's supposed to be all these other wacko teams. So as soon as I hear multiverse and other bullshit like that, I just start souring. I'm like, nah, yeah. The wine is turning to vinegar.
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, I think I saw this. If I didn't see this in the theater, I saw it soon after. I believe.
I don't think I saw it in the theater. I didn't know. It was one of these. I was probably reading and too lazy to actually push a button on my remote, and it just started playing. And then because normally before this movie, I hated Keanu Reeves, so I just didn't see him. I thought he was ridiculous. But this was me going, well, Mr. Reeves.
Well, this is post Matrix. This is, now he's a big action star.
Well, honestly, I think I saw this before I saw The Matrix.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So he's
Interesting.
better. He's a better actor here. And then this, of course, is just all you need to do is make him like a celestial being, and now you're in John Wick 2. Just add the celestial being to John Wick, and here we are.
Well, I mean, it's clear what they're going for here. It's kind of he's a private eye kind of thing who deals only with like demon
Right.
issues.
Demon issues, right?
Your child's possessed by Satan, then you call John Constantine, basically.
Well, because pure demons and pure angels cannot get into this realm.
They're not supposed to be able to, but people are breaking this rule left and right in this
and
show.
that's what's causing the problem. So his job is to go find the halflings, and then there's people. I mean, it's like I'm gonna keep calling them halflings.
Please do.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons. You know,
That's
there's
exactly
chaotic evil. There's people who are like chaotic neutral. You know. There are people that are like, we're not tipping the scales, we're not taking sides, and then there's definitely people working on either side.
Right.
Like they said, the right whisper in you, they can't control you, but maybe the right whisper in your ear can send you off on a trajectory that you can't come back from.
Right. Well, over the course of this movie, you meet what they call the half-breeds, who are, they're demon light, I guess, and angel light.
Right.
But they seem pretty damn demonic to me.
How is Gabriel angel light?
Right.
I mean,
right.
That's full biblical.
The Archangel Gabriel, played by Tilda Swinton. Yes.
When you throw the Archangel, the Ark in there, that just doesn't seem like, you know, when you cross a terrier with another kind of mutt. That just doesn't seem right. You're right.
It's like they established that they're not supposed to be able to come. And the fact that early in the movie, Constantine is like fighting and he's like, well, this shouldn't be happening, you know, because they're not supposed to be, you know, coming here on Earth, essentially. Like that's kind of the warning sign that something's big's going on. But he doesn't seem to bat an eye when he sees Tilda Swinton in the library or whatever.
No,
hey Gabriel, how you doing?
She seems to be like his KGB controller.
Well, they have a relationship.
He's getting his information from her. It's like he's deep cover, and she's his controller.
Right. Basically,
did you see Homeland?
It's basically Homeland.
It's Homeland.
That's
exactly.
He's the Claire Danes in this scenario, and she's Mandy Patinkin.
No, nobody has the crazy eyes like Claire Danes. Nobody can play that role but Claire Danes.
So it's basically what it is that from a very early age, John Constantine could see the demons. Like, I see dead people, basically.
I see dead people.
Right. It is Sixth Sense.
Older. It's Sixth Sense. It's all of that. Yeah,
and he's flipping out as a child, and eventually he commits suicide. And they say he's dead for a couple minutes.
Right.
But then he comes back.
He's brought back.
Well, but I just thought they shocked him or hit him with some adrenaline, and he didn't go into the light.
I briefly dated this dude who was an EMT. He says, ain't nobody ever comes back. You can go do that boop, 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 but nobody's coming back. Most people just are dead.
That's good to know. Was he a serial killer? He's like, when I'm on the scene, they're definitely not coming
Maybe when he's doing staying alive, he's saying staying dead, staying dead, staying dead. Ha, 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 ha.
Just because he's lousy at his job, I mean, that's the way it works. Anyway, but he's brought back, and I'm not a theologian, but my understanding is the reason why if you commit suicide, you go to hell is because you don't have the opportunity to ask for forgiveness. You can't go to confession. So you're taking that sin with you, essentially.
All right. So then essentially, if you're hit by a train on your way to confession, you're going to hell too.
That's correct.
You're dying with those sins.
That's correct.
This is our all-forgiving God. This is pure Catholicism, y'all. That's why you had to go to confession and
all the live long day, right?
Don't wait for the high holy days. You might have that sin of lust or sloth or whatever.
Right. Although, to be honest, last time I went to confession, I didn't drop. Yeah, I'm guilty of sloth. I didn't drop those in there.
You didn't do the full 7.
I didn't do the full
What's
7.
in the box?
That's right. Gluttony. Gluttony's my biggest.
Gluttony.
Right.
Yeah. That is my favorite of the 7 deadlies.
Well, and here's the thing. Later in the movie, he's giving rights to crazy Balthazar, played by Gavin Rossdale, which I was like, who the heck? Why is he in this movie?
I thought he did a good job. Is that
He was bad.
His one and only acting job?
Well, and he's a strikingly good-looking guy.
Yes.
It's like, who is
And
this
he's
guy?
dressed perfectly.
Yes.
He looks
yeah.
fantastic. He looks super British in his clothing too.
Yeah, totally. So Keanu's like literally threatening him by absolving him of his sins.
Yeah.
Like he's going to go to heaven.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, can you not do that to your, go to a church and do your confession? Because they're constantly saying, well, you're damned. You're definitely going to hell, John Constantine, because that one time you tried to commit suicide. And there's no redemption for you.
Are there sins that a priest cannot absolve you from?
I think it depends on the priest.
I never went into confession and said, I committed genocide. Like, I'm guilty of the Armenian genocide.
Well,
I am
good.
Hitler.
So be going to do that this weekend, right?
Can we dial in a priest now? Are there sins that a priest cannot forgive?
Well, they say in the movie that in all the planets in the universe, the only creatures that can get absolution are humans.
Yes, all these movies, the angels are all very jealous.
Right.
That God loves us more than them.
Right.
And then they're just cast out with no chance of ever being redeemed.
Right. So the point being, I guess the idea is there is no sin that you cannot get redemption for, essentially.
Well, and in the end, that is true, right?
Well, that's what it's
They just didn't say you have to do this. You have to do X, Y, Z.
Right. Well,
there was mentions of what would redeem it. I don't think he processed that. Though.
Well,
and
right.
In the end, what he did, it had to come naturally, because otherwise you're just saying the 3. Forgive me, Father, I've committed adultery. Say 3 Hail Marys. Bing, bing,
right.
bing. You're
for some reason that doesn't.
that.
For some reason that doesn't work for him. Again, he was going to send the demon to heaven. The demon. Presumably, they're not even beyond redemption, evidently. But somehow Constantine is convinced that he is beyond redemption. Because I guess the good deeds he does.
Did you commit suicide if you are in fact alive?
Right.
Doesn't committing suicide mean you're dead? Versus I've attempted suicide.
Right.
There's when you say regicide, they're not saying you missed.
Right.
The king is dead when it's regicide.
Right. No, I agree. I think these are definitely questions that are kind of.
So did Earth bring them back, or did heaven or hell send him back? It had to be heaven if his handler is Gabriel. Did they send him back to, I don't know.
Well,
less time in hell, slightly less than all eternity.
I don't think
it's not clear.
He basically, so as his job as spiritual detective or whatever the hell he is,
the Terminator.
He's anytime a demon steps over the line of the rules, he sends him back to hell. That's what he does. But he doesn't score any points for that with God, because he does it for selfish reasons, is what they say. Like, he doesn't do it. They said you have to do like an act of selflessness is basically personal sacrifice.
So they're saying personal sacrifice, and he's not getting that. He doesn't understand what that really means.
But again, he was sending a demon who wasn't even asking for absolution. Like, that was a threat.
He's a demon. He's a demon versus, he's like a whole other creature.
Right.
So he's a demon versus you effed up and now you're going to hell.
It's all very complicated. It's bizarre and confusing.
And then at the end, they're like, you have to ask for absolution. Ha ha.
Right.
Screw you, Gavin Rossdale.
Screw you, Gavin Rossdale. For goodness sake. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay, so we didn't even touch upon this. A woman commits suicide, and her twin sister, who's a detective, Rachel Weisz, who's my secret love. I've been in love with Rachel Weisz for 20 years. Oh, yeah. She basically is like, I'm going to you because I don't believe she really committed suicide. So I want to know that she's in heaven because she was very religious or some kind of bizarre thing. Like, I don't believe my insane sister who's in the psycho ward committed suicide because she's too religious for that. Right? Am I messing this up?
And sometimes they're identical twins and sometimes they're not. Did you notice that? It's
they're always identical twins. Just sometimes they're using like a mannequin, like a fake person that doesn't really look like her that much.
Yeah, when I was entirely confused because when she goes to the morgue, this is clearly a different person. Or does Ms. Weisz look freakishly different without makeup?
That is a concern. But I think it was more like they hired that same blind sculptress from the Hello video with Lionel Richie. where it's like close but no cigar.
It's such a good song with such a grotesque video. It makes your stomach leap.
What's funny is like you wanted Lionel Richie to kind of look at it and go like, oh my God. Because she's blind, she can't see his disgusted facial expression.
Please tell me that In Living Color did some kind of take on that.
That is, if you have not seen the Hello video, Lionel Richie, it is the best. When the grand reveal of the bust of Lionel Richie, you're just like, who the hell is that?
I can't believe is he a megalomaniac? So everyone is afraid to say anything. No one went up to him and said, "What the fuck?"
I think he later came out and said, "Yeah, I didn't think it looked like me either." So you're kind of stuck. I mean, what do you do?
No, it's kind of like record scratch.
Right.
Throw this away. We'll use concert footage and call that the video.
What you do, yes. What you do is have Lionel Richie see the sculptor and then tiptoe out the back door while the blind sculptor is like, "Where are you?"
Then he's like, "You really are blind."
He should have said, "You know what? Good first attempt. You're blind. I'm cutting you some slack, but we need to go back to the drawing board." Literally. Very sad. Good video.
Maybe more abstract work.
Exactly. Maybe sculpture. Maybe clay's not your medium. Think about that.
Finger painting.
There you go. Good times. Spoken word poetry, perhaps. Good times. I wrote down wooden floor would feel differently, and I don't know what that means.
My first note is dude from the movie where everything takes place inside a crazy man's brain is the priest. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, okay, because John Constantine, Keanu Reeves, has a couple allies that he meets. And one is Pruitt Taylor Vince, who you know from Mississippi is Burning, the bald dude with the crazy eyes that jiggle. You've seen him 1,000 times. He played a racist, of course, in Mississippi Burning. Of course.
He doesn't look like he's working for the ACLU.
No. If you've seen him, you know who I'm talking about because his eyes jiggle. He has a condition in real life that causes his eyes to jiggle for some reason. He's a priest, but he's like kind of a weird priest. I don't know what the story is with him. He's like a drunk.
Well, he's the Sixth Sense. He is Donnie Wahlberg in the Sixth Sense, only like 6 Donnie Wahlbergs rolled together.
Well, because he's the one, like, when somebody gets possessed, he's like the intermediary. They go to the crazy priest, and the priest calls John Constantine to help him out.
But like Donnie Wahlberg, he can't shut out the voices. So he just drinks and drinks and drinks.
Right.
Until he basically dies. But I guess that was a demon.
He did. He died. He basically, because he kept trying to drink, but somehow he could not drink any, like the liquid wasn't coming out of the bottles.
Right.
Or so he thought, but then he collapsed with booze pouring out of his mouth. So he died kind of randomly with Gavin Rossdale looking on.
Uh-huh.
Very sad. And there was like a kindly angel that was working like the checkout line.
Yeah, there was some interesting things, like, because they talked about how there are these like secret people throughout the world, and some are fighting for one side and some are fighting for the other side. That's an interesting idea.
They look normal 99% of the time, but if they choose to, the angels like wings sprout up behind them, and the demons, they turn around and look all like zombie-ish.
Yeah,
or something.
Less Rossdale.
Definitely less Rossdale.
More so like Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Smoking.
That would have been funny.
That's exactly right. My
son tells me that in the comic, they tried to give Keanu a couple of zingers, but for the most part, they played it straight. But he's supposed to be much more sarcastic, and I think that would have been good.
Well, we're going to talk about this, but I'm going to give you a little taste. Yes, I didn't know this at the time, but yes, he's based on a comic book character that originally appeared in the DC Comics Swamp Thing. Okay, and it was
Constantine versus the Swamp Thing.
He appeared in the comic book, the Swamp Thing.
The Swamp Thing, based on the movie with Adrian Barbeau.
The movie was based upon the comic book. Okay. John Constantine was created by Alan Moore, who's a famous British comic book writer, who did like The Watchmen. That was kind of his big claim to fame. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He's notorious because basically whenever they adapt one of his comics into a movie, the movies are invariably horrible. And he's always like, this is not, you messed up the adaptation.
You've ruined it.
You've ruined it. So it's like, usually if you look at the credits, he doesn't even his name isn't even on the credits. Like just the illustrator.
I mean, let's face it, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. The comic book is much more interesting than the movie. And a few other things. V for Vendetta, I believe, was also his. Anywho, he created this John Constantine character. And number one, the character is British, lives in London, and physically is based upon Sting.
Interesting. I kind of like that. I mean,
right?
I love Keanu in this role, but I would be interested to see a different adaptation of it.
So, smokes.
Is it Sting from Quadrophenia? Is it that Sting, or is it now Sting living in Italy and his skin looks like a Slim Jim? And as he's practicing his tantric sex yoga.
All right. Well, here's the thing. This is
Which Sting are we talking about?
The reason why the police broke up is because he was always crazy tantric Sting.
Yeah.
That's the cold hard reality. Stuart Copeland and Andy Summers said, you know what, enough of this. We give up the ghost.
Enough of your golden god, yeah.
Right. When it went from every little thing she does is magic to I'm the king of pain and there's a little black spot on the sun today.
It's true. I do like old. I don't like the Police, but if I had to choose an era, I like more ska Police.
Right. Early Police versus weird imagery Police. You're like, what is the song about?
Shut up.
Right. What are you doing? I like those songs but they're much more bizarre. A skeleton choking on a crust of bread. Anyway.
You didn't want that for your wedding song?
That was good. We were going to walk down the aisle to King of Pain. Exactly. Good times. Anywho, you can see this version of Constantine because there was actually a TV series in the early aughts called Constantine. I think it might be on Netflix still.
Oh.
And it's a blonde British guy. And the same actor, I think his name is Matt Ryan. The same actor plays this character on a show that's on right now called Legends of Tomorrow on the CW network.
I'm already losing interest. I can already feel it.
Because it's a comic book.
Tobey Maguire in it?
Tobey Maguire helps out when he can. So there you go.
Can it just be a graphic novel that's not also in some kind of universe with the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Although it is. Guardians of the Galaxy is a Marvel comic. And this is a DC comic. So there you go. Good times. No, this is... Keanu's fine in this.
What?
He's not bad.
Okay,
This is
where
okay,
is
go
his
ahead.
acting better? Where is his acting better?
Did you see John Wick? I love John Wick. John Wick is great. The
I-
first one is outstanding.
No, the first one is boring.
Oh.
But the second one, I'm telling you, is amazeballs. The third one, it goes like this: 2, 3, 1.
That is a nonsense. One is much. I love we're talking about this
La
instead
la
of Constantine.
la 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 la. I can't even
The
hear
other
your words.
the other two movies, honestly, and I'm not complaining, but it is basically one violent shootout after another. Like that's basically the plot, loosely threaded. He just walks around shooting people in the head for 2 hours.
Because all the money went for the visual graphics, and indeed, I agree with you because I have very little patience for car chases and 6-year-old men fighting for 3 hours.
So you don't like those Taken movies or whatever, or the Fast and the Furious? How dare you?
I think I may have seen one of the Fast and the Furious, but it's boring. The reason I like the later John Wicks, and even by the third one, I was like, really? Can we throw in some plot in here or something?
No can do.
It's visually stunning, and he is great. But there's really more acting in Constantine.
There is. I mean, he's trying to deal with.
Yeah, there's almost no real. He has no personality in the first one. I understand you did the first one to set up the second and the third, but he just really is like half a robot. He's Elon Musk in the first one. He's half a robot.
I'll tell you, watching this movie, there are a lot. I mean, you're supposed to take it very seriously, but there's a lot of kind of ridiculous holy weapons that he pulls out.
Oh my God. I wrote this down here. It's totally James Bond where they go and see Q and it's all the gadgets. So that they have the holy hand grenade.
They had the holy hand grenade of Antioch. I was like, what in the hell is happening?
No, it's totally all the weird James Bond, but
you're giving it way too much credit. These things are ridiculous.
Of course they're ridiculous.
They're like, oh, here's your crazy demon shooting gun that's like chrome plated with a cross. It was like, what is this? And then he had literally brass knuckles with like crosses carved into it.
I'm like, is that from the Versace collection?
It's from the Versace.
There's like a Medusa on one side and then like the Lord's Prayer across the knuckles.
It was so ridiculous. And I wrote this down because he meets this guy. His name is like Beeman or something like that.
Right.
Who's like his
like
cue.
the chewing gum.
That's exactly right. The kind that Chuck Yeager chews, basically. he works out of a bowling alley.
Yes.
Which they kind of gloss over. Because at one point they're in there like, oh my God, Beeman's been killed. And then it smash cuts to he's putting her in a bathtub to kind of awaken her, her vision into hell.
In other words, to drown her. So
he literally drowns her
for a minute.
Yes.
And I was all, someone tells me to get in the bathtub and put my head under. I was like, nope.
And then I realized the bathtub is at the bowling alley. I'm like, what kind of bowling alley is this?
I did write this down. What? I was like, what?
It's a full-service bowling alley. They cover all your needs, evidently.
And I forgot it was at the bowling alley. And, and when all those machines started turning on, I was like, where the hell are they?
Right. I guess this is Beeman's apartment in the back. I guess is what we're supposed to believe.
He's just living in the rafters or something. He's like, oh my God, the guys. I almost said Seinfeld.
Yes,
the guy who eats the flies. The guys
Renfield.
Not
Seinfeld.
The Beemans threw me off because I was like,
why do they call it eating flies? There's my Seinfeld impression. Thank you.
I have this written down. What's this from? Finger licking good.
God, I remember that. He did something. He like rubbed his hands. Some demon dude rubbed his hands on like Keanu's face and was like licking his fingers after. Oh, finger licking good.
Oh, I wrote that down. I was like, this is disgusting.
It was not his finest hour. At one point, Beeman gives him like a little like a tin that has like a beetle in it, and he says, "Oh, that's a screech beetle from Amityville."
I don't remember Screech Beetles.
Well, you don't see the beetle. It's just in the tin. And then when he's fighting the crazy like bug man on the freeway, he keeps like shaking the tin at him a little bit for some reason.
Is that about? I thought the beetle would want to join his other beetle buddies.
Clearly not. The Screech Beetle, demons don't like the Screech Beetle from Amityville, evidently. The traditional Screech Beetle.
I read the book and I've seen the interview. I don't remember Screech Beetles.
You remember that?
Is that something in Long Island?
It's a traditional beetle found only in Long Island. And then, of course, I turn around, and then there's Shia LaBeouf is in this movie for some bizarre reason.
Yeah. I don't know. Did he just roll off of holes and was trying to make before he joined the cult or whatever the hell he did?
Well, what's funny is if you ever watch that movie I, Robot with Will Smith, he was playing, and it came out like a year before this movie. He went from I, Robot to Constantine. He's playing the exact same character, where it's like kind of the young, kind of wisecracking, eager kind of
it's like
apprentice.
Someone likes him in Hollywood, but they just aren't sure where to put him.
Right. This was Shia classic when he was kind of sweet and eager, not crazy drug-addled Shia, which we found out about later. Sad to say, allegedly.
Don't you know Shia, who I am?
Yeah, that's Shia. Good Lord. The cast is literally ridiculous. Like, you turn around and it's constantly these people. You're like, what? This person's in this movie? What is happening here? Good times. Any other highlights you want to talk about?
I recognize. I think this movie is classy, brother, because I wrote down Take 5, Dave Brubeck, and there was a jazz piece.
Little jazz.
Little jazz. It's classy. It's classy. There was a total funny part where who is it? Is it the voodoo doctor? Is
Jalman Hunsu. Jalman Hunsu plays Papa Midnight.
Papa Midnight. He's holding him up. He's about ready to kill him and rip his lungs out. And John Wick goes, this is a $200 shirt. They're trying to throw some wiseacre comments in there.
Right. When it's revealed that Gabriel is actually the one behind the plot all along, he's like, because she says, like, I'm here to save humanity. And he's like, by releasing a demon? Walk me through this. Help me out here. Yeah. In his Keanu way. Yes.
In his Keanu way. Let's see. What else did I write down? Staring at a cat makes your feet boil.
Yes. Right. Because
I'm not really sure who cooked up that idea. Or why does holding a cat while your feet are in water cause you to go to, I don't know, the nether regions?
Basically, this is the thing.
With the sandworms or whatever.
He visits hell to see if Rachel Weisz's twin sister is in hell. And he does that by putting his feet in a bucket of water while staring into the eyes of a cat. Later, in order to help Rachel Weisz visit hell, he drowns her in a bathtub a little too long. So, who's to say? Does it make sense? Maybe to someone. I don't know. Good Lord.
Sassafras. All right. At one point, Rachel Weisz is writhing on the floor with a demon, an adult-sized demon trying to crawl his hand. And Keanu puts his hand over her stomach. Keanu must have the biggest dick in the world if you're going by hand size. Because literally his hand seemed to stretch from one hip to the other, if not go over. It was bigger than her whole waist. It was freakish.
I was gonna say maybe she's just kind of waifish, but 6 of one half doesn't have the other. I don't know.
If she was I'm trying to think I'm like, maybe our nephew. If I held my hand over a 4-year-old, would my hand and I have really long fingers. They told me I could have played the piano. Maybe if I held my hand over the stomach of a 4-year-old, would it stretch like that?
I honestly did not notice, but now I have to go back and watch this.
You have to go back and look, and then wonder out loud like I did.
I shall.
There was an awesome graphic at the end after Keanu has committed suicide for the second time.
Right.
And the devil is got him by the arm and is dragging him to hell.
Peter Stormare.
Who I love from all the Coen brother shit.
Yeah.
So And so he's dragging him, and the whole floor is like buckled, like if you drag someone across a carpet.
Right.
I thought that was
That was
super
really cool.
That
was cool. Well, because they established, like, he needed basically the devil's help to stop Gabriel and Mammon from coming into the world, because basically that was going to mess up the balance. So
it's going to mess up the balance, and it's taking the power away. And also, how is the devil allowed to enter this plane if nobody else can?
Right. They're a little fuzzy on this, but they'd said earlier that you're the soul, Constantine, that the devil himself would come to get.
Okay.
They kind of had a
does that mean they're
line.
allowed to?
Well, I get who knows.
And why does the devil want Keanu Reeves' soul more than anybody else's?
Because he's been sending all the half demons back to hell.
I'm like, wouldn't he want like Courtney Love or something?
Why would you want poor Courtney Love?
Poor Courtney Love.
Courtney's in her car listening to this, going, "What the hell? Why are you dragging me into this?"
I'm sorry, Courtney. Call me up. We'll talk.
So
go ahead.
It appears that he prays to God to help him, and when God doesn't act quickly enough, he slices his own wrists so that the devil will come get him.
Right.
And then he tells the devil what's going on. The devil steps in, stops it. But the fact that he was willing to sacrifice, because the devil says, "Oh, I'll do you a favor. What do you want? Let me guess. You want some more time on Earth?" You're like, no, save Rachel Weisz.
Right.
Which he does, which is that selfless act. So now he can't go to hell. And then, because the devil gets pissed off at him, he's like, "What the hell? You're going to die of lung cancer in 6 weeks." He reaches in.
Well, he's cut his wrist. He's dying right now.
Well, no, he's
got lung cancer.
He's been healed. So he's not, he says, "I'll heal you and I'll make sure you're going to live so that you can fall from grace again, and then I'll get you."
F up your life again. Oh, yeah, we didn't mention that he's dying of lung cancer and smokes like a chimney.
Right. She says, "You've been smoking 30 cigarettes a day since you were 15. That's why you're going to die of lung cancer." Good times. And he lights up at the end of the movie. He doesn't say, "Well, maybe I should turn over a new leaf." Nope. No can do. How about some Nicorette gum? I don't know. Who's to say? Anything else?
At the end, I put Angel Shyla, sad face.
Right! poor Shia LaBeouf gets murdered unceremoniously. I'm like, he's dead? They just killed him? The plucky comic relief?
Yeah, they said
not so much.
Enough of his shit.
As have casting directors everywhere. Good times. Are you ready for behind the scenes?
Lay it on me.
I told you that he was originally a comic book character, and the differences, how it was based upon Sting, really. The Spear of Destiny prop is a reoccurring thing that happens in DC Comics, although ironically, never in Constantine's comics. Like, there's no connection between them. And that Spear of Destiny is also found in the Hellboy movie. It's in its exact same plot.
Oh my God, are they in the same universe?
They're not. Same prop, same thing. Who the hell's to say? Because it's supposed to be the spear that the Roman centurion uses to stick Jesus when he's on the cross, basically. Right. This is a thing, I guess. There's a Constantine
and yet
line.
Sister Alice never mentioned it.
Rest in peace, Sister Alice, by the way.
I can't remember. Is she the mean one?
She is the mean one with the bad hands.
So she'll be joining Gavin Barnes.
She's a real person, by the way. Okay, moving on. Constantine's line when he says he doesn't want Angela to be another ghost following him around is a reference to the comic books. Because in the comics, he has accidentally or on purpose let people die. And is haunted by their ghosts, basically.
All right.
The look of hell was based upon old footage of nuclear tests. What it would look like immediately after the shockwave.
It looks good. It looks like a place you don't want to be.
Keanu Reeves bought the Holy Shotgun prop and gave it to the director as a gift. There you go. There's a scene where Constantine pulls a rag out of his pocket and wraps his hand around it and lights it on fire and kind of wards off the demons.
Right.
There was supposed to be a scene where they talk about that is Moses' shroud. that he uses to ward off the demons. For
I've
some
heard
reason,
of the Shroud of Turin. I've never heard of Moses' scarf.
it's called Moses' scarf. It is. There you go.
Moses' ascot.
You think you would have said, like, hey, maybe give a little about what the hell's happening. No, not so much. Okay.
No.
Thanks. The original comic book that Constantine is in is called Hellblazer.
Not
And-
Hellboy.
Not
Is he
Hellboy.
the
That's the
father
thing.
of Hellboy?
No, that's the thing. This movie was going to be called Hellblazer, and they changed it because the movie Hellboy had just come out.
Well, Constantine is a badass name, for sure. I need to go marry a Greek or something because that's a badass name.
Well, it's like, is he the emperor of Constantinople? I mean, people, it's confusing.
Istanbul to Constantinople. I think there may be more than one person in history named that.
Only the one.
Did you think
Only
it was
the
a
one.
historical film?
I thought-
Were you upset it was not about Constantine the Great?
I'm saying it's confusing. When I went and saw Captain America Civil War, Becky thought it took place during the Civil War. It's confusing. There you go.
I like that. I like that.
Let's see. The Nazi flag used to wrap the Spear of Destiny in that opening scene.
And if the Nazis had the Spear of Destiny, what did they lose?
This is a good question. They destroyed the flag.
What were they doing with it in Mexico, by the way?
Okay, this is a good question.
Did Dr. Mangala bury it?
Dr. Mangala helped out. The Vice Angora. Basically what happens at the beginning of the movie, which is confusing to me, it takes place in Mexico where these two guys are like scavenging or scrounging or something.
Oh, they're like squatting in the dirt, scratching like chickens.
Doing
I don't
some
know
weird
what the
thing.
hell.
And he's like stumbles upon like a wooden something.
Yeah, he
And I
steps
think he
on
would
it
have
and like it
noticed
breaks.
it.
Yeah.
Right. I think it would have been noticed long before then. Call me crazy. Because it wouldn't sound the same. It wouldn't feel the same. And it's literally like under, a centimeter of soil?
Yeah.
It's right there. Good times. So they took the spear, I guess, from the Nazis, but still wrapped it in the Nazi flag and then just buried it under 6 inches of soil, not even 6 inches of soil in Mexico City. Who the
That
hell
wasn't
knows?
good hiding. Instead of hiding it, why don't we just melt it down?
These are good questions.
All right.
Peter Stormare, who played Lucifer in this movie, he designed his whole look. According to the script, he was supposed to be leather pants, bare-chested, dog collar with spikes, and tattoos over his face and chest.
Oh, like the lead singer of that band.
Guar? I mean, who are you talking about? Anywho.
Rob Halford.
Oh, Judas Priest? Yes, Judas Priest.
No, I like the look. He was all in a white suit with feet dipped in tar. It was fantastic.
It was creepy.
It was fantastic. He is creepy as hell. And what is all the licking? All our movies, everybody, men love to lick.
Finger licking good.
Ah.
Originally, this movie is going to be directed by an individual named Tarsem Singh, and it was going to star Nicolas Cage.
Oh, thank God.
And then the director said, with Nicolas Cage attached, I can't make the movie I want to make. So he dropped out, and then Cage left soon after. So it would have been a very different movie with old Nicolas Cage.
Oh, indeed it would. Indeed it would. It's not too late. Although Nicolas Cage. Keanu was fantastic, and he was sexy as hell.
Well, and then Nicolas Cage, a few years later, made a similar themed movie called Ghost Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like a guy sells his soul to become evil
I think I
Knievel.
saw a full 30 minutes of that.
There are parts of that which are great. And the rest of it is crappadocious. So very sad. I think that's about all we need to know. Good times. Are you ready for the cast? We talked about this quite a bit.
All right.
John Constantine, obviously played by Keanu.
Sure.
Speed, The Matrix, Point Break. The list goes on and on.
I put down two that are my personal favorites.
Please.
Little Buddha.
Little Buddha, yes.
Dangerous Liaisons, although his acting was pure shit.
Just awful.
Awful.
Yeah.
The movie is a freaking amazing. But between Keanu and Uma Thurman, their acting was so piss poor.
There was a weird,
unbelievable.
There was a weird 5 years there, late 80s, early 90s, where Keanu is, I swear to God, is in like 5 or 6 period pieces.
Like
you're like,
big production, Academy Award nominated films, and you're like, what the hell is Keanu Reeves doing in this?
Not in his wheelhouse.
And full, oh my God, it was like Winona trying to try on an English accent in the Dracula movie. You're like, no.
Well, Keanu was in that one too, doing his horrible. Yes, good times.
Until Constantine, I think he was just an older Bill and Ted. It's that horrible surfer accent that he had.
Rachel Weisz played Angela. And did you catch that? Angela, short for Angel.
Oh.
There you go. She, again, my secret love, gained prominence. She was actually in a Keanu Reeves movie like almost 10 years earlier called Chain Reaction, where an evil Morgan Freeman's like setting off a nuclear bomb or something like that, and they have to stop him.
Did not see it.
She was, I believe she was nominated for an Academy Award for The Constant Gardener. She was also in those early Mummy movies with Brendan Fraser.
Well, at least they brought us The Rock, so I do love The Rock, just not his movies. I would just. Is he currently single? What's happening there?
Who's to say?
One of these days, I'm just gonna walk into Thanksgiving with the family, and I'm gonna say, "Oh no, I brought my boyfriend." It'll be like The Rock, and everybody's gonna freak out.
Well, yes, we would freak out. That is true. Most recently, Rachel Weisz was in The Favorite, and I believe she was nominated again.
Oh, yeah, she was really good in that. That was super lesbianic and freaky.
It was freaky. She's currently also married to Daniel Craig, James Bond.
Who was married to Eczema from X.
Previously. Is that true?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He's lived a life. And Daniel Craig is hot to trot, that's for sure.
And her name's not Eczema, by the way.
Whatever. Is it eczema?
Her name is not eczema or noxema. It's neither of those. Anyway.
What is it?
It's like eczema.
Whatever.
Thank you.
I was not ever a big fan.
Jamin Hunsu played Papa Midnight. You know him from Blood Diamond. He was in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He was an Amistad. That was kind of what put him on the map.
He's solid as a rock.
He's great. He was in a movie called In America, which I thought was
not
amazing.
Not coming to America?
Not coming. He's already here.
He's already here. And they're
Check it out.
Not related.
That's right. And of course, Shia LaBeouf plays Chaz Kramer. His name, I have to look this up. His name means something in 2 different foreign languages, and I'm just going to look it up because I find it hilarious.
LaBeouf is French for like the beef.
It means the beef.
Where's
and
the
his
beef?
first name, where is it?
It's like Israeli or Hebrew.
Yeah, his first name is Hebrew, and it means like, I don't even remember, like shining light of the beef, something like that.
Oh my God. Like a shiny cow.
That's correct.
A glowing bull. I don't know. Sounds terrible.
Shia LaBeouf, obviously known from Holes. He was in those Transformer movies. More recently, he was in such things as Peanut Butter Falcon and Honey Boy. You know him, don't you?
Is that a porn?
Look, we all go through some rough patches. Gavin Rossdale was Balthazar. You know him because he was previously married to Gwen Stefani. Yeah. And he was the lead vocalist of the band Bush.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton.
I love Tilda Swinton.
Gabriel, you know.
I figure Tilda Swinton's in it is going to be interesting.
Tilda Swinton always has this very interesting thing because she has such an androgynous look that they constantly make her look super androgynous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you ever see Orlando?
I never saw Orlando, but I'm familiar with it, with Billy Zane.
Yeah, so as she goes through time, sometimes she's a man, sometimes she's a woman, and pulls it off 100%.
Right. And she's a pretty lady. But she can when they make her look androgynous, they really make her look androgynous.
They can make her just disappear. Absolutely. They can remove all femininity, and it's very interesting.
Yes. The #1 movie on her IMDb page is We Need to Talk About Kevin.
We need to talk about. We do need it.
We do.
She works a lot with that director.
The Suspiria, Joe.
This is Luca Guadagnino.
Luca Guadagnino.
And call me by your name. That's all the same director.
Yes, yes.
I just Call Me by Your Name. You know, the movie with all the semen.
Oh God, we always go a bridge too far.
That is how your mother described it. She's like,
do not say that to me.
She's like, but there was too much semen. It was just everywhere.
I
they
tend
were
to
always
agree.
wiping it off.
Okay. Moving on. Tilda Swinton. More recently, she was in the Doctor Strange movie as the Ancient One. But I always remember her in our favorite movie adaptation. She was the literary agent trying to get Nicolas Cage to finish his book. Basically.
I got to tell you, I never felt the vibe on adaptation. And you would think it would be right up my alley. Maybe I need to revisit it.
You should revisit
I remember
it.
watching it going, what the fuck?
Adaptation is hilarious until about 2/3 of the way through.
See, now you lost me.
I agree.
Don't you hate that though? You're like, you there's a great movie until the last 30 minutes.
Right.
And then you're like, did they just run out of budget and they're racing through this shit?
They're doing something. It's a sad situation.
What I find fast, do you have something more to tell me?
No, go for it.
So what I wrote down, because at the end, Tilda Swinton is at the very end, she's wearing the craziest fucking outfit.
Yep.
And I was trying to figure out, is this a specific designer? Because the top looks like a straight jacket.
Yep.
And the bottom is chaps.
Yes.
And it's all white. So I'm like, okay, is this a specific designer? But I couldn't find anything. So
it's just from her, is what they said.
Holy shit. Well,
I just made that up.
I looked up the costume designer for the film, and here's some of the other movies. Skeleton Key.
Uh-oh.
Stigmata. Which
no, you did.
We haven't reviewed that, but that was so good. Warlock.
Oh, God.
And you ready? Blimey, it's the Limey.
Right up our alley.
Right up our alley. And I totally forgot about Warlock and Stigmata. So we're going to have to revisit those because those are both good.
Good stuff. Are you ready for our rating?
All right. Okay. You go first because I got to think of a good one. I don't know why I never plan ahead on this because I feel like it needs to be of the moment.
I agree. Well, let me say this. I totally forgot to mention this. There's a scene where Keanu Reeves comes in and like puts holy water in the sprinkler system that rains down on the room full of demons.
Oh, yeah.
There's a scene where one of the demons looks right down the barrel of the camera and goes, holy water. And it's Michelle Monaghan.
Who's Michelle Monaghan?
Michelle Monaghan was in, I'm trying to think what you would have seen her in. Oh, God, now I have to look it up.
The Falcon and the Snowman?
She was in North Country.
No.
She was in the Mission Impossible movie. She was like married to Tom Cruise's character.
No.
Let me see. Michelle Monaghan. She's in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Gone Baby Gone, Pixels, Source Code.
No.
Apparently
I don't even see movies.
It's hopeless. If you go back, and evidently she had a much bigger role. True Detective.
Never saw that.
Oh, sweet
it's
Jesus.
That is at least on my list.
If you saw her, you'd recognize her. She had a much bigger role, and this is before she was famous, but they cut it all and just gave her one crazy line where she turns and looks right down the barrel, holy water, and that's it. Anyway, on Rotten Tomatoes, Constantine currently has a 46% rotten.
What?
Based on 230 reviews.
I'm going to base this right now. This was a great movie. It was highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. What a Keanu Reeves best. It's got Rachel Weisz and Tilda Swinton. And I love Tilda Swinton.
Yep.
Our friend, Tilda Swinton.
We know her well. So what is your review?
I'm so angry now. I'm enraged.
If it makes you feel any better, based upon 250,000 plus ratings, the audience gave it 72%.
No.
Yeah. So there you go.
I'm gonna give it 3.82 Tilda Swinton crispy chicken wings out of 5.
I don't even know what the hell that means.
Remember at the end
Yep.
when she's being punished by God and he rips off her wings. She has these like
Yes.
stumps. They're all
Yes.
pushed up, hanging out of her back.
Yes. They like, you've made me human. She doesn't look human to me. She's got crazy old like wing stumps poking out of her back. She's not passing for human in my neighborhood.
I mean, do those fall off eventually? Like when you castrate a goat? I mean, they just turn black
It's the
and drop
exact
off.
same thing. It's the exact same thing. I gave it 4. I can't even speak. 4 out of 6. Oh, sweet Jesus! I was going to say something, and I don't know what I was going to say. 4 out of 6 Shia LaBeoufs. Let's just say that. If we're just naming cast members and his wreckage
I
of the career.
talked about her finger looking good.
It was the finger looking good that did it. It's fine. I remember watching it the first time and then leaving going, this kind of sucked. I don't think it sucks, but I don't think it's anything I'm like need to see again.
Oh,
It's
I
fine.
really liked it. I thought it was action-packed and interesting idea. I love all the demons coming to Earth and, you know, that you can actually kill them. I hate any of these movies where the evil thing is like immortal and untouchable, you know, like all the Friday the 13th. You know, after you realize they're immortal and they're just going to keep coming back, then I'm bored.
I see. No, it's fine. Performances were good. It was definitely like a situation where you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting too. This is totally ridiculous. This is bizarre, ridiculous. So again, I remember what I was going to give it. I was going to give it 4 out of 6 screeching beetles from Amityville. That's what I'm going to give it.
Amityville.
There you go.
Now,
good times.
Now, on a weirder note, because
Yes.
I'm not going to say what today's date is, because Lord knows when you're going to release this. But I did notice on the interweb this week that there are reports. So a few years back, there was a person when the internet was fresh and new, reported to have been a time traveler. Who posted that basically this is the weekend when we discover that there's a parallel or clone of the Earth that exists in our universe. I haven't seen that on the news yet, but governments are known to keep secrets.
You have to go to 4chan or whatever and see what it says there. That's where you get the real information.
That's where you get the real story.
Good times. So there you have it. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie@gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, etc., etc., etc. And Aaron, what's up with your social media? Give us the 411.
The Cult of Aaron. And because it's like Gmail, it's like there's like a underscore after every blessed word. On the Insta, because I'm not calling it the gram. Are you eating chips at the during my shout outs?
I decided to eat some chips while you were talking. Go ahead.
The Cult of Aaron on the Insta and the Twitski. Tell me if Hannity has discussed the clone universe yet.
Please do not.
Please do not.
Send that only to Aaron. Do not send it to me. So thank you very much and be well.
Later, skater. Still wear a mask. Don't be a dick.